Pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, welcome to the September meeting of the Philipstown Planning Board. Shirley, want to call the roll?
Joe Burden.
Yeah.
Dennis Gagnon.
Here.
Peter Lewis. Laura O'Connell. Here. Neil Toman.
Here.
Heidi Wendell.
Here.
And Neil Zuckerman.
First, little housekeeping. We have correspondence for return of escrow from the Mace Carvill application. That doesn't, I don't even remember. Is there anything keeping us from doing that, Steve or Ron?
We have no outstanding invoices.
Okay, do we need to vote on that?
We usually do. I don't know if that's absolutely necessary.
Sure, all in favor of return of escrow for the Mace Carvill application? Or can I get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, there are no public hearings tonight. And we've got a little bit of old business. I'm sorry. What do you have? Oh, I don't have the newest, latest. Oh, this is for Krasniqi Plaza, requests for an extension for a, this was that oil, well, it was, I guess it started as an oil storage facility, and I guess they had a couple iterations that they were working on. Now they're requesting for an extension, 45-day period for a decision.
I can read the letter.
Go ahead, please.
Dear Chairman Zuckerman and members of the Planning Board, it is noted that the public hearing on this matter was closed on May 16, 2024, and the 45-day period for a decision from the board expired in early July. At the request of the town engineer and on behalf of the applicant, we are proposing an extension of the 45-day period for the board to render a decision until the board's posted November meeting date of November 21st, 2024. The applicant wishes to note the extension is granted due to delays caused by the board's desired third-party review for the provided traffic report. As such, it is expected that the review is now underway and comments will be provided with sufficient time to respond for the October 3rd, 2024 submission deadline. Should you have any questions or comments regarding this, please feel forward. Please feel free to contact our office. Very truly yours, Insight Engineering, Survey and Landscape Architecture, Richard D. Williams, Jr., P.E.
So I guess the upshot here is they're looking for an extension to comply with one of our requests, Steve?
Well, the board is supposed to, by statute, render a decision within 45 days after closing the public hearing. But there are times when that time period gets extended. For example, if secret review isn't complete, it's extended automatically. In this instance, we're looking for a traffic study. Traffic study has not been complete. Is there anything else outstanding, Ron?
The applicant study has been referred to a consultant that's currently under review. The consultant's report will be back to the planning board for next month's meeting.
So the applicant is just saying that they consent to an extension of the town board, the planning board, pardon me, time to render a decision on this. I don't think strictly speaking they need to do that. I think it was automatically extended, but just note that they've done so. You don't need to vote on it or anything.
Okay, so
we'll just make it a matter of record.
Just make a procedural note. Again, there is no public hearing tonight, so we'll get in, so old business. So we've got Fish Library, Garrison, oh, we got another, some Shakespeare, that's some housekeeping to do there, and then we have Hudson Highland Preserve, and then we get into new business. So, Glenn, who's Margaret for Fish Library?
We haven't made any changes to the plan, and I believe at the last meeting, you directed the consultants to make a resolution for the project.
Okay, any comments? We'll go to start down at Heidi. Anybody have anything? I feel like anything, okay.
I recall that we did direct Ron to get the resolution going.
If we could give everybody one last chance to speak. So, I guess, Steve, we're looking for a motion to approve the resolution?
First the secret resolution, then the approval resolution.
Okay, so can I get a motion to approve the seeker resolution?
I'll make the motion.
Can I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye. And then Now, can I hear a motion to approve the actual resolution?
I'll make the motion.
And a second.
A second.
All in favor? Aye. I vote aye. Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, good luck. It'll be a nice addition to the property. Mr., refresh my memory. Stone. Stolero.
Yep.
Okay.
Hi.
Good evening. Get us up to speed on this. Seems like some loose ends we're trying to tie up here. Is that what's going on?
Right. We submitted a letter a couple weeks ago requesting that some language in the approval resolution be amended. The approval resolution requires Shakespeare to present to the town attorney a conservation easement for review, and that just was an error in the resolution that we didn't catch at the time. It's not a conservation easement. It's going, actually, the title to the property for the 17-acre parcel is going to Hudson Highlands Land Trust. So it's not being conserved via easement. It's being conserved via donation of the property to a land trust. And so rather than having the approval resolution say conservation easement, we'd like it to say conservation restriction, which then,
Like to hear it say,
conservation restriction,
okay.
which then Steve would need to review.
Okay, so Steve, what are we doing? We're giving this to you to consider for,
You have attached to Mr. Stolaroff's letter, a copy of the resolution. And you can see that condition D reads, "The applicant shall provide the conservation easement concerning Lot 1 for the review and acceptance of the town attorney, which shall be filed in the Putnam County Clerk's office." Now, I have no problem with substituting for the words conservation easement, the words deed restriction or conservation restriction if you want, as long as we all understand what we're talking about. The board would need to make a motion to amend its approval resolution to delete the words conservation easement and replace them with the words conservation restriction. Is that what you're requesting?
Yes.
Okay. And if that motion is made and passed, then I can review their deed restriction, conservation restriction, which will have to be filed with the county clerk, whether it's in a deed or as a separate document, and we can proceed that way. That's what the applicant is seeking, and if the board's so inclined, that's the action to take.
okay. Is there is there anything that we could get tripped up on down the road with this, or, I mean,
No, I don't think so.
is it as
the one-
harmless as it sounds?
The one thing I'm concerned about is this. If you have a deed restriction, generally speaking, the restriction's only enforceable by certain parties, often the party who granted the deed, sometimes third parties if it's done in favor of it. If this property is deeded away as is proposed, and there are deed restrictions and they're only enforceable by Garrison Golf, it may be the case that the town, because you're approving this whole, it's all part of a whole, you understand. The approval of the Shakespeare Festival was done in consideration with this property being preserved. You may want to have the deed restriction state that it's enforceable by the town. And that's, I messaged Mr. Stoller out today, that's what I'm recommending. I mean, you know, if they don't like that, I'm sure we can discuss it further, but that would be the one thing. And if you have a deed restriction that's enforceable by the town, I think it gives you, especially when you're deeding land to the Hudson Highland Land Trust, the same level of protection that you would have if you had a conservation easement.
Okay, so we've got grasshoppers up here. Okay, so help me out with this, making this motion. What we're asking for is to change.
Motion to amend.
Motion to amend, and listen, because we're gonna do this once. So
Condition D,
say it again?
motion to amend condition D
Motion to amend a condition deed
in the approval
in
resolution
the approval resolution
to replace the word conservation easement
to replace the word conservation easement
with the words conservation restriction.
with the words conservation restriction, and then something enforceable by the town, or some language.
If you want to
that.
have enforceable by the town, you can actually set that in the resolution. Other than that, you can just leave it up to me to discuss with the applicant. That's up to the board.
Okay, anybody have any thoughts on this? Heidi? No? Anybody?
I like the town being the one to be able to enforce.
Okay. All right. So does that have to be a separate, or can we just,
If you want to replace the words conservation easement with conservation restriction enforceable by the town, do it. Just say that's. the
okay,
way.
okay. Anybody feeling good? Okay, all right. So can I get a motion to that effect?
I mean, but what if, would it say something like, or applicable law? I mean, what if the town decides they don't care if, isn't it just like any time there'd be a conveyance of property where it should be enforceable by applicable law of any kind, regardless?
The law, Heidi, is that the restriction runs in favor of the party who it's granted for. It's either the grantor, or if they're third-party bennies, they have to be mentioned. Other than that, it's just going to be Garrison Golf. That's what applicable law is.
Okay.
Okay, can I get a, let's see, we made the motion, we made the motion, can I get a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion on what Steve said.
What Steve said, good, I like it. And can I get a second? Okay, all in favor? Aye. I vote aye, thank you. Glenn, Hudson Highlands?
Good evening, George Elisandrados from Keenan Bean, filling in for Rick O'Rourke tonight, project attorneys. We're here today to discuss the project a little further. I know we got an AKRF memo, a very detailed one, so we can go through that. We have a couple things that sort of need to be done. There's a referral to town board for review of certain items like the HOA bylaws. There's a referral to the fire department, I believe, that's part of the preliminary approval. So it's really just running through where we stand. Glenn can walk you guys through that, and just some of the other things in the AKRF memo that were discussed. It was lengthy, so, but also very detailed, which is very helpful. So, Aaron, I don't know if you want to walk through that, or we could have Glenn do the presentation. It's really up to
Let's
you.
have Glenn start, and then I'll
Okay.
go to my stuff.
Good evening. I don't really have a lot. We received your memo a couple of days ago. We don't find that we have any particular difficulties with them. I mean, they're, and we certainly can address them. We're hoping, but we do have an application before you that will require a public hearing, and that's for the steep slopes special permit. Now, if you recall, at the last minute that came up with Shakespeare. I don't know who figured that out, but somebody figured it out that it was necessary. So we started thinking about it, say, hey, we didn't do that for Hudson Highlands Reserve either. So we have submitted an application for a steep slopes permit, along with our application for final approval and a cover letter detailing all the things that we did do and the things that are yet to be done. So we're hoping that you will schedule a public hearing on the steep slopes permit, and if you're of a mind to schedule a public hearing on final approval, that's an optional hearing. We would be most appreciative if you would schedule that simultaneously with the hearing on the steep slopes permit. As you know, we've had several public hearings over the course of this time. So that's our basic goal for our goal for tonight is to get that much done. Receive any comments you might have on the application package that you've been given, and answer any questions that you may have if we're able.
Okay, thanks, Glenn. Does the board have any questions? Dennis?
On the steep slopes, Glenn, it's specifically for the interior roadway, driveway.
Yeah, we submitted We submitted a plan with our application, and we should have, frankly, we should have realized this when we applied to the town board for approval of the alternate road standards. And you'll see two shades of green here. All those shades of green are anticipated steep slopes disturbance. The darker green is where we have determined that we need it on the basis of a special permit. The lighter green, we're talking about utility lines which can run through, which do not require that. So we have, the biggest pieces are along the road up from Route 9. There's a little bit here, and that's actually some rock that's got to be pulled out. And we have a place here. We submitted to you a statement justifying these findings, and for each of them, I guess I categorize them for each of those things. And basically, if I remember correctly, the justification for these is because this is the only place we can have a road. And that was heavily reviewed and discussed in the environmental impact statement. And here we have a similar situation where we have a road, the historic farm road we're trying to protect, and we're trying to keep off the steep slopes and still have enough room to have our lots. So we have these two small areas where we've had to push the road to the edge, and there's going to be some grading, like it or not. And then finally down here, on this last one on Pond Road, if you'll recall, that was that short cul-de-sac road that was on the west side of the pond, and we had originally had it goes to a very flat area which would accommodate a cul-de-sac nicely, but again, the discussion in the EAF were centered around, for this particular one, centered around migrating, animals migrating through that area, and it was felt that the cul-de-sac would tighten up that corridor, and so we opted to make a hammerhead type turnaround back a little further away from that cul-de-sac areas, but that requires a very minor amount of steep slopes disturbance. So you have our application, you have our statement in support, and you have a map in support of it, and so that's where we are with that.
Okay, thanks, Glenn. Any questions from the board? No, Glenn, do me a favor, just take that one, the darker green represents the steepest parts, right?
The steepest slopes on the site are the green, any of the green,
Right.
light or dark, and all of the orange, or whatever color that is. My wife would have a
But the
name for
green
that,
is,
but I don't.
the green is the section that's in the road, and that's really what we're worried about.
The green sections are all having to do with construction of the road. They're like this one is on the shoulder, on the bank going up to the road. This one is right smack in the middle of the road.
And what's the distance? What would you say is the distance of that one mass in the middle there?
This?
Yeah.
It's the 50 scale map. I'd estimate that to be about 1.25 inches, so that's about 75 feet across the road by maybe a total of 100 feet that narrows down as it goes up the hill.
Right. So that's really the one bad spot. Okay.
Yeah. We did reduce, just incidentally, part of the moving from preliminary to final was that the one thing that happened as a result of the elimination of the equestrian center, all right, that made the grade coming off of Route 9, it made it possible to make it slightly steeper, because as the trailers that they move horses on would drag, and we couldn't have that happen.
Right.
So when that came to the fore, Margaret realigned this road and reduced, if you remember, there was a bunch of retaining walls proposed along here to hold this bank up. But by raising the road up, it made making it work without retaining walls with just grading. So it reduced a lot of disturbance that we really originally anticipated. And we did substitute a planting plan in that area to restore it.
So are we looking at any problems with emergency vehicles or deliveries?
No, that was all taken
with
into
the hoist
consideration.
trailers being an issue, but any other vehicles?
Right.
No?
The fire, well, one of the things I should have mentioned earlier on, but I think that you need to refer the application to the fire company for comment, And I think if you recall, we eliminated the hydrants, the dry hydrants, but we're committed to sprinkling every house, despite the, but at any rate, there's no issue with the trucks coming up the hill.
Steve?
The question, Glenn?
Oh, sure.
Glenn, can you, or maybe council, can you elaborate on your request that was in your letter about one of the conditions in the preliminary approval that had to do with the conservation easement area and the boundary markers concern?
I can answer that.
Okay.
The way I read that the only marker you could have along that was on that 140-foot perimeter of around the lake where we were going to build a wall. Down here, I guess it's off this map. The way I read it, it says you can't have any markers along the, on or at the boundary of the conservation easement area. And we find that to be a little strange. First of all, if this lot is being built against the conservation easement right here, and they don't know where their back line is because we can't put any stakes in the ground, you're inviting trouble. That's frankly. Right. Similarly, we think it's appropriate to allow postings along the boundary of the conservation easement, so when people are walking along and they want to turn left and go in, they get a sign that says, hey, be careful, you're going into a conservation area, so be careful, please. So we've specifically asked for relief from that condition for those reasons.
I think, well, we're still at the preliminary stage, so, and I don't think we're getting a final approval tonight. But when that final approval resolution is put together, I think we could work out language to address that, whether boundary markers, maybe we make it say, permanent boundary markers, because staking is more temporary. We could come up with something.
We need to mark the property lines if you want us to stay out of the conservation
correct,
easement.
right.
Just that simple.
Yeah, I think it's an easy fix. We can deal with that down the line, but.
I think, Aaron, the issue is going to be that you don't want to have signage or obtrusive markers near the edge of a conservation area. So if the applicant could give us some idea of what it is they propose to put up, small discrete signs probably would be okay, large orange billboards, not.
I think we can come up with a typical sign that maybe, I don't know if they're doing any marketing kind of stuff with a logo type of sign, but I think it has to be, they have to be posted certain every so often so people see them.
It's just how you do it.
Yeah,
I don't know if you want to give us a detail or if you want to submit samples or
happy to
whatever
do
it
that.
is that.
Would detail like that have to come back before the board for approval, or do you think you could work that out?
Part of your final approval, you'd have to, one way or another, indicate that that's what it is
That
they would
changes,
put up and
or
nothing more.
that's what we want to
But
see.
it's a waiver provision right now, right? That's what they're asking for? A
They're
waiver
asking
of the.
for that specific condition from the resolution from last year, which was preliminary, to be revised.
Modified.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so they give us something to okay, so they give us something to sign off on, then we can revise it.
It'll be on the final plan.
It'll be on the final anyway. Okay.
Yeah, we'll put a detail on the final plan, and we'll consult with your consultants to come up with something. And
Okay,
let you-
board members,
tell it to
anything?
you.
I just have a comment, if you don't mind.
No,
On Aaron's work that he put into his memo regarding this, great, very helpful. So, just wanted to comment on that.
Glad it was helpful.
September 13th memo, that is.
I have a comment about the language about the pesticides, not that homeowners are not supposed to use pesticides. And I was wondering if it could be a little more specific, because I'm wondering if people realize that mosquito spraying near the pond, particularly near the pond, but anywhere, that would be prohibited. I'm just thinking ahead of homeowners may not realize that spraying for mosquitoes, there's been a lot of spraying for mosquitoes recently in Nelsonville, including like giant clouds of spray that you, and, I don't know if everybody realizes that it's obviously pesticides, but, it might be helpful to just spell that out,
Okay.
if you would.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Another thing that I almost failed to mention is that in addition to your referral to the fire department, technically speaking, you're supposed to be referring the homeowner association documents to the town board. Mr. Gaba has received them, but we do have to go through the right channels, I guess.
Discussed it with council, then it would be appropriate to submit it to the town board. Town board's also going to want to see the planning board's comments on that before they approve it. So we need at least an initial discussion here at the planning board.
Okay, so we can direct the referral to the fire department, though, right? We can do that?
Yep.
We're ready for that. We're not ready for the HOA documents, though.
We aren't ready for that.
We're not ready for that. And we are ready for a public, sounds like we may be ready for a public hearing, but I don't think we're going to be able to combine them. What, the second one you wanted to have a public
Well,
hearing on the,
The final approval, public hearing and final approval is an option. And we're making that request because we're a little more efficient. We've had a number of public hearings, and we'd like,
doubling up of public hearings.
right.
The Watson maneuver, they call it.
I don't know, Neil, that you're going to require a public hearing on the final. I mean, this thing's been vetted so much already. The one thing that might spur you to do that would be if there were terms or conditions in, for example, a homeowners association agreement or some of the other documents that are the conservation easement going forward before the town board now, that made you think that you needed more public comment. But to set the public hearing before those documents are ready, it really is.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, so, I guess we're just down to the two. So we're just down to the referral to the fire department and then for the public hearing.
Unless you want Aaron to go through his memo, is the board all happy with having just read it, or do you want him to go through the?
I'm fine with it. Everybody? Okay,
I
so
think
we're,
yeah, the recommendation section is the most helpful probably to figure out the next steps for tonight. And you've covered one of them with the special permit, public hearing, and the referral to the fire department, so.
okay, so we get a motion to make a referral to the, where are we? Highlands Fire Department, right? Okay, North Highlands Fire Department. Can I get a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
A second.
All in favor? I vote aye. And then a motion to hold, do we have a date? Public hearing at the October 17th. So can I hear a motion to have a public hearing October 17th?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Come on, Kevin. Okay. All in favor? Aye. I vote aye. Thank you. That's it?
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm telling you, look at that, Laura. Next, okay. Well, I do it right now. I can do it right now, right? Yeah, I'm sorry. We skipped over the approval of the July minutes, so we'll do that now. Can I hear a motion to approve the July minutes?
Make that motion.
And second.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? I vote aye. Next applicant is Automar. Do we have someone here from Automar? Okay. So this is our first look at 3070 Route 9, major site plan. Thanks, Aaron. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good evening.
Give us your name and
Douglas Cooper. I am representing Manny Yanez, who is the owner of the property. He is proposing to build a commercial space in two phases. So it's a two-phase project. The first phase would consist along Route 9 itself, and that's a gas station proposed with a Dunkin' Donuts and drive-through lane. It also consists of a flex building, and that flex building would house a small office and contractor storage facility. Phase 2 is at the rear of the site, and that would consist of a solar farm. And the purpose really of this introduction is, of course, to allow the planning board to see the project and receive referral for the ZBA. We'd like to meet with the ZBA as early as possible in the process so that we can address any issues they may have. We're looking for a variance for the drive-through. Everything else that's proposed should be permissible as of right.
Okay. Any questions? This is our first look at this. Heidi, Laura?
So this is proposed as the gas station with Dunkin' Donuts along Route 9. That's the flex building. And then in the rear that you'll see in your packet with the plans is the solar farm well out of sight of Route 9, way at the back.
And there's a stream running back there. I'm sure we're going to get into this in the secret review of the wetlands. Those pumps are oriented north and south, are they? The way you have that rendering?
The pumps, there's 4 gas pumps and 3 diesel pumps. They're on the north side of the property along Route 9, and you can see them on the left side.
They're, the way, in that picture, their orientation is north to south?
Yes.
I'm just trying to...
Yeah,
figure
I
out what
mean,
I'm
you'll see
looking
it
at.
well in the plan
Okay.
on the sheet.
Oh, there it is, okay.
Clove Creek, where is it?
Clove. Clove runs right behind there, doesn't it? Yeah, it's in the video.
I'm sorry, what?
Clove Creek. Well, we'll get to the wetland boundaries and all that. I'm sure there's gonna be some healthy discussion about this application. For tonight, Steve, what are we doing? We wanna be lead agency?
Well, Glenn did a memo, and he walked you through SECRA and all the referrals, and the main thing is you're gonna refer them to the ZBA for
Right.
their variance, but I think you should turn it over to Glenn to walk you through where we are on this.
Ron, you mean?
Yep.
Okay.
That's all right.
Ron.
We knew what he meant. As indicated, it's a project on a rather large parcel of property. It's bisected by Clove Creek. The Phase 1 aspect of the project, the gas pumps, the Dunkin' Donut facility, and the flex building all lie along the frontage in front of Clove Creek. The solar farm is proposed in the rear. So currently, under Phase 1, they would not require any crossing of Clove Creek. However, you want to see, with some accuracy, the specific layout of the floodway, the floodplain, and any DEC wetlands that might exist in the area, so that those plan refinements have to be provided for your review. Initially, as the applicant indicates, town code does prohibit the issue of a drive-through for what's deemed a restaurant use. So that's a referral that they're seeking tonight, and that's something the board may wish to move forward at this point. And then there's a variety of just administrative things that the board typically does on their initial review of a project. Since, given the size of the project, you'd initially classify it as a major project pursuant to code. Then you'd also classify it as an unlisted seeker action. If you wish now, you could declare your intent to become lead agency and get comments from other involved agencies. Referrals would be necessary to DOT, county planning, DEC, just with the prospect of the wetlands in the area, Putnam County Department of Health for the water and sanitary systems, and then the Town Conservation Board would likewise be an interested agency just for comment relative to wetlands and floodplain issues. Those activities can be taken tonight, I believe.
So we're ready for the referral to, well, let's see, we're ready to declare ourselves lead agency
No, intent,
or in an uncoordinated review
Coordinated review.
on an unlisted action.
Of an unlisted action.
there
that's
you go,
right.
right.
Okay. So why don't we try that one first? Can I hear a motion to declare ourselves
Lead
lead agency
in an
in
uncoordinated.
an uncoordinated action,
In an unlisted act,
I'm sorry, an unlisted action.
yes.
Okay, can I get a motion to that effect?
Make that motion.
Second.
I'll second.
And all in favor? Aye, I vote aye. And the next one is to make referrals to, I think we can combine these. The referral to the Department of Transportation, County Planning, County Health Department, and the Conservation Board. Do we want to put the ZBA on there too?
I would do that as a separate referral.
Okay, let's do
You
the
also have New York State Department of Environmental Conservation.
DEC. Okay. Can I hear a motion to make referrals to the New York Department of Transportation, Putnam County Planning, Putnam County Department of Health, Philipstown Conservation Board, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation? Can I get a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
And second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we have a separate one, make a referral to the Philipstown ZBA. Can I get a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
And a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye. Anything else? Declare a major action. Can I hear a motion to declare this? I'm sorry, major, right, application is a major site plan. Can I get a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye. I think that's it.
Are we gonna get, usually applicants walk us through what's entailed in the project with the maps and whatnot? Is this just not the time for that?
Yeah.
Well, sure we're
not
gonna
time.
get there, yeah.
It's whatever you seek of the applicant. I mean, typically, they provide that view to the board. It's an initial appearance, so that's what you would normally expect.
So I guess there's some more detailed plans in our future?
Yes, there are. In fact, that's the reason, the request for the ZBA, because if there's some feedback, we need to change things and
Right, you wanna do that
tweak it,
first.
massage it.
Makes
Yep.
sense, makes sense. Anybody else have anything? No? I think that's it. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second? All in favor? Aye. I vote aye. 40 minutes.